Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In Gaza, 3 more Palestinians have starved to death over the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of starvation deaths from Israel's siege to 303, including 117 children. Since Monday, Israeli forces have killed at least 75 Palestinians, including 17 people seeking food. This comes as press freedom groups are blasting Israel for the double-tap strike Monday that killed at least 21 people, including 5 journalists at Nasser Hospital. Hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza City attended funerals for the victims. This is Adli Abu Taha, the brother of slain journalist Moaz Abu Taha.
Take a picture of me, guys. I do not have a single photo with him. We worked together so much, yet I never took even one picture with him.
Meanwhile, Israeli forces killed a 6th journalist in Gaza Monday. Hassan Duhan was a correspondent with Al Hayat Al Jadida. He died after he was shot while sheltering in a tent in Al-Mawasi, which Israel's designated as a safe zone despite near constant attacks on the area. In Israel, thousands have blocked roads around the country, including a major highway in Tel Aviv, burning tires, calling for the return of the hostages still held in Gaza and an end to Israel's war on the besieged Strip. The protests were led by families of hostages and part of a nationwide day of disruption. Meanwhile, Israel's military chief clashed with far-right ministers Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir about Israel's Gaza City operation, with Smotrich reportedly saying, quote, "Whoever doesn't evacuate, don't let them. No water, no electricity. They can die of hunger or surrender," he said. In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces injured 24 Palestinians during a raid in Ramallah, which is ongoing at the time of this broadcast. This comes as Israeli far-right minister Orit Struk has called on Israel to start annexing the West Bank sometime this month. According to a report published by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Palestinian boys say they have been sexually assaulted and tortured in Israeli custody. The network published photos showing visible signs of torture from shackling and featured accounts of Palestinian teenagers accusing Israeli troops of taking nude photos and mocking and touching their bodies. Scottish police have arrested the award-winning screenwriter Paul Laverty for wearing a T-shirt reading, quote, "Genocide in Palestine, time to take action." The arrest of the 68-year-old took place during a protest in Edinburgh Monday against the UK government's support of Israel's war on Gaza. And the UK public support of the protest group Palestine Action is a criminal offense under the Terrorism Act. Paul Laverty is a longtime collaborator with the filmmaker Ken Loach. Laverty spoke after he was processed and released with an order to appear in court on September 18th to face terrorism charges.
Although we have the law on our side, we cannot implement it. So I think we have to change the narrative. I think what we'll have to remember is that the most important court in the world is the court of public opinion. Ordinary people are appalled to see starvation and genocide and the selling of arms to the apartheid state in Israel, and are just appalled by it.
Australia's expelled the Iranian ambassador after its spy agency accused Iran's government of orchestrating 2 anti-Semitic attacks in Australia. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said that Australia's, quote, "credible intelligence," unquote, that Iran was responsible for the arson attacks against a synagogue in Melbourne and a kosher restaurant in Sydney. It's the first time Australia has expelled an ambassador since World War II. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from deporting Maryland father Kilmar Abrego Garcia following his rearrest by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. On Monday morning, agents at ICE's office in Baltimore took Abrego Garcia back into custody after he presented himself for a check-in. He'd been free for just 3 days, following more than 5 months of detention, including time in the notorious Secot mega prison in El Salvador, to which the Trump administration admitted he was wrongfully deported resulted in an administrative error. On Monday, U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes ordered the Trump administration not to follow through with its plans to send Abrego Garcia to Uganda, a country he has no ties to. The judge told prosecutors, quote, "Your clients are absolutely forbidden at this juncture to remove Mr. Abrego Garcia from the continental United States," and asked them to confirm that they understood what she was saying. A new study finds the population of immigrants living in the United States shrank by more than 1 million people after President Trump retook the White House and imposed new mass deportation policies. The Pew Research Center found a record 53.3 million immigrants were living in the U.S. in January. By June, that number had dropped to just 51.9 million. About 750,000 immigrants have dropped out of the U.S. labor force since Trump's second inauguration. The humanitarian aid group SOS Mediterranee said Monday Libya's Coast Guard fired at its rescue vessel while the crew aboard searched for a refugee boat in distress in the Mediterranean Sea. The organization charters the Norwegian ship Ocean Viking in collaboration with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. No injuries were reported, but the group said the vessel was damaged. Before the attack, the ship had rescued nearly 100 refugees stranded at sea, many fleeing war-torn Sudan. Libya's Coast Guard has received funding, equipment, and training from the European Union to crack down on refugees. In a major escalation against the independence of the Federal Reserve, President Trump said Monday he's firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, the first black woman to sit on the central bank's board. Trump's claiming she committed mortgage fraud and that he's removing her immediately. Cook is holding firm, saying she intends to stay in her position. In a statement, she said, quote, "President Trump purported to fire me for cause when no cause exists under the law, and he has no authority to do so. I will not resign. I will continue to carry out my duties to help the American economy as I have been doing since 2022, she wrote. Trump has also repeatedly threatened to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell as he pressures the Fed to lower interest rates. President Trump signed an executive order on Monday that would establish specialized National Guard units to be quickly deployed in Washington, D.C. and all 50 states. Under the order, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will oversee the National Guard, assisting local law enforcement in, quote, quelling civil disturbances, unquote. Elizabeth Goitein of the Brennan Center for Justice said, quote, having soldiers police protests, as this order envisions, threatens fundamental liberties and public safety. It violates a centuries-old principle against involving the military in domestic law enforcement, she said. This comes just weeks after Trump deployed the National Guard to Washington, despite the fact the district's violent crime rate is at its lowest level in decades. Trump has also threatened to send troops to cities like New York, Baltimore, and Chicago. On Monday, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker joined Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and other city officials to condemn Trump's threats.
Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents, and score political points. If this were happening in any other country, we would have no trouble calling it what it is, a dangerous power grab.
More than 180 Federal Emergency Management Agency employees sent a letter to Congress Monday warning FEMA's Trump-appointed, inexperienced leaders are putting the agency's work at risk, which could result in disasters as catastrophic as Hurricane Katrina. The dissenting staffers say Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and acting FEMA Administrator David Richardson lack the qualifications and authority to oversee FEMA's operations. The letter came just days before the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, one of the deadliest and costliest hurricanes in U.S. history. At least 36 employees have signed their full names to the letter titled The Katrina Declaration. About 150 others have signed the letter anonymously. At the White House, President Trump repeatedly praised North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un during a meeting with South Korea's leader Monday, saying he would like to meet with Kim again sometime in the future.
Kim Jong-un. I hope it stays that way. I think it will. I have a very good relationship. I understand him. I spent a lot of free time with him, talking about things that we probably aren't supposed to talk about. And, I get along with him really well. I think he has a country of great potential, tremendous potential.
A series of executive orders signed by President Trump Monday are drawing nationwide backlash, including a measure that aims to eliminate cashless bail and threatens to cut federal funding to Washington, D.C., as well as other jurisdictions that continue to implement the policy. Cashless bail is a system in which people accused of minor offenses are released from jail while awaiting trial without having to pay a specific cash amount. We'll have more on this story later in the broadcast when we go to Chicago. On Monday, Trump signed a separate executive order mandating federal agencies, quote, vigorously prosecute anyone who burns the United States flag. The order also directs administration officials to revoke the visas of immigrants accused of desecrating the flag. Trump's order defies a 1989 Supreme Court ruling that determined the burning of a U.S. flag is protected speech under the First Amendment. After Trump signed the executive order, Secret Service agents arrested a person who set a U.S. flag on fire on Lafayette Square across from the White House. The man identified himself as a combat veteran who served for 20 years. His protest was captured in a video posted to social media by the news outlet The Bulwark.
No president can make a law, period. No Congress will make a law infringing on First Amendment rights. I'm burning this flag as a protest to that illegal fascist president that sits in that house.
And President Trump's former Labor Secretary, Alex Acosta, will testify in front of a House Oversight panel next month about brokering a plea deal with the dead serial sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Acosta was the former U.S. Attorney for South Florida when he offered a non-prosecution agreement to Epstein back in 2008, allowing him to plead guilty to a single state charge, which ended the FBI's investigation without federal charges. In his first term, Trump appointed Alex Acosta Labor Secretary. He was forced to resign in 2019 following criticism of his handling of Epstein's plea deal. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer has also issued a subpoena to Epstein's estate for a birthday book compiled by his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, which reportedly contains birthday messages from Epstein's wealthy and connected friends like President Trump. Comer's also requesting, quote, any document or record that could be reasonably construed to be a potential list of clients, unquote. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.